So what you're looking at is a Mac Mini. This particular model is the Mac Mini, let's see here, A1347, which is the mid-2010 model. Now, what am I going to do with this? Well, I'm glad you asked. We're going to take this screwdriver kit that I have held together by tape, and this microphone is going to be in the way. Let's see if I can pull it away a little more. Well, I'll just edit it in post. Maybe it's a little bit too overexposed. So let me just configure video. Ah, perfect. Okay, cool. So now you can see the edges of the Mac Mini. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're actually going to be downgrading it from 480 to 240. Now, why on earth would you ever want to downgrade your SSD? Never. But I want to reuse the high capacity SSD in this Mac Mini since I'm not using it to its fullest capacity in this Mac Mini because I just don't use it that often. So I want to use the high capacity SSD in another computer, so I'm going to be replacing it with a lower capacity SSD, which is way more suited for what I'm using this for. This is an inland professional SSD, 240 gig, and it has its rated speeds on the sticker itself. As you can see, 550 megabytes, 490 megabytes. Doesn't really want to focus, but that's fine. So to open your Mac Mini, it just rotates counterclockwise, and then you can just take it off just like that. So in order to replace the SSD, which is under this shield, you're gonna need some specialty tools. Let's see here. So these are hex, and these are Torx, and I believe these are even more Torx. So a lot of specialty screw bits, which is where a repair screwdriver kit comes in handy because it comes with a lot of specialty bits. And I'm gonna cheat a little bit and use the inappropriate bits for some of these because I remember taking this apart once and I didn't have the correct bit for it. I can probably find, no, that's a little bit too big. Whoa. The rubber has completely disintegrated. That is interesting. And they have gone bad from just from age. Okay. I mean, it is a computer from 2010, so it is what it is. That's a little bit too big. Perfect. I have no idea what these are for. I feel like Apple just decided to make a screw for every single screw hole just because they can, which increased costs, but it's a Mac. And the shield is not going to come out, not before removing this fan, which this bit is too big for. I think it needs an even smaller bit. Yes, it does. So I keep all the bits that I need out. I don't put them back in until I'm completely done. That's good. So if you don't know what you're doing, you should probably ask someone to do this for you, because I am not responsible for anything that breaks with your Mac. I'm pretty sure this is also supposed to come out, and there's a screw holding it in. Great. God, there's like 4 different types of screws already, and this comes out a little something like that. Something, I guess I'll have to take the shield off first. Yep, there you go. And then this should just come right out. Yep, pull it out. And this fan is held on to this connector, just pull it off. And then this is connected to the Wi-Fi antenna, just pull that off. And then we can access the SSD. These are temperature sensors plugged in. I'm just gonna unplug them. I think this is the other temperature sensor. And then this, there's your little Lego connector. The video is very grainy, but if you look at it, you'll see what it is. Just boom. So there's the 480 gig. Alright, we actually need to take off some more screws. We used the bigger Torx screws. So far we only needed to use 3 sizes of Torx. Take this screw out and we're gonna put it right here aside because we'll need to use it immediately. And if you're doing a hard drive swap, this is pretty much the same process. There will be a black sticker on the back just to protect it from shorting out on the unibody. And I have to remember which orientation this went. A little something like that. The screws go on this way. So we'll just screw that back in. Doesn't have to be tight. These are just alignment pegs that go in so that the drive doesn't rattle around inside of the Mac chassis. And we stick the SATA connector back on, something like this. And we take the temperature probe and we stick it on like this. It doesn't really matter if you're mounting an SSD where it goes, because SSDs generate so little heat that it doesn't really matter. Yeah, we're ready to put it back in. It goes on a little something like that. Now, some tutorials will ask you to remove the RAM, which is just, as you can see, not very necessary, because I mean, you could if you want to. It's not that hard to put it back in. In fact, I can just show you how to remove the RAM, just so you know how to remove the RAM. You see these little silver things over here? Just push them outwards, away from the RAM, and the RAM should just pop right up, and then you just pull it away, like that. To reinsert RAM, you just stick it in at an angle like this. You push it in until you don't see gold no more, like that. And you push it down until it clicks, preferably twice. Okay, so SSD, that's the data connector. Here's temperature probe number 1. We connect that. You can just push them down once you have them aligned. Make sure they're the right side up. And right side up is the side where you can see the pins. Like. Just a little bit of cable management, because, you know, even if it's not a PC inside, it's still a computer. And we're done. That's the swap done. Now it's time to reassemble the whole thing. So this heat shield, I think that's what it is, this heat cover. This goes a little something like that. Goes on a little something like. So that goes hole here and hole here. So we align these holes here with the screws here and here. I guess it goes in deep. 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 Like my feelings. There we go. So once these two holes are aligned, then you have it on pretty much correctly, and now we just have to remember which screws go on. Okay, well, I guess whatever. So here's an important thing. Don't forget to plug in the power connector to your fan, or else your Mac will overheat. Ask me how I know. And start reassembling it. Screwing everything down. I still have no idea which... Oh, it's probably this screw. I'm gonna assume that it's the screw. Doesn't have to go on so tight. And then this goes on, a little something like that. And then these black screws with the really long rubber thingamajigs. You go here. Okay. I'm not tightening it, because if I over tighten it, something might break, and if I ever decide to reopen this again, I'll have a very hard time reopening it. Just don't make it hard for yourself. And these silver screws go on. Okay. I think that's basically all the connectors. Let's make sure that the fan connector hasn't been unplugged by accident. Just give it a push. And then the Wi-Fi antenna goes on a little. This is probably the hardest part, because I remember this being an absolute pain in the ass. Alright, it is in. I'm gonna just stick this back in, sort of. I should have done... okay. I should have done that before I put on the fan the heatsink fan. But we'll manage. We'll survive. There's a right way of doing things and there's a wrong way of doing things. So I'm just going to loosen these a little bit, make sure that we can move the pieces how we want to, so that we can mount this shield. There we go. Everything's cool. Then I think these are the screws that go... oh, this is too small. Okay. It doesn't matter. It's not plugged in. won't short out anything if I can just get it out. Yeah. Okay, cool. That goes on here. What these screws do is hold the drive in place so that it doesn't rattle. And the rubber mounts from before are supposed to reduce vibrations, so you won't hear the hard drive, which is quite obnoxious, you know? No, this is a hex bit. Okay, so we probably don't need this. We need a hex bit. Perfect. It's a size 2 hex. Okay, so that's pretty much it. It's all assembled. One final inspection to make sure everything's plugged in pretty much correctly as well as I want. And I almost forgot to tighten the small bits. And that's pretty much it. And this goes on a little something like that. Just align the white dot with the empty dot and twist. And you're good to go. Okay. And that's how you downgrade an SSD to a lower capacity. You don't have to. You can do it the other way. You can put whatever you want. Just make sure it's SATA, the 2.5 inch. Now I can use this for something else. These are just spares. So that is how you replace a drive inside of a Mac Mini, and also RAM if you want to. Actually, RAM is really easy. All you need to do is twist this open, right? And boom, there's your RAM. This is fairly easy to upgrade. This is not so bad. So, if you have any questions, don't ask me. I'm kidding. Drop a comment, I guess, and if I feel like it, I'll reply. Like I said, I am not responsible for anything that happens to your computer if you decide to follow my instructions. That's on you, because I managed to do it the right way the first time. I wouldn't have the energy to do multiple takes of this. If I couldn't get it right on the first take, I wouldn't even bother. So that's it. These are trash, so I'm just gonna throw them away, and we're done.